Qualification Highlights is brought to you in part by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time.
Good evening and welcome to the first of 4 qualification highlight shows here on Channel 4. I'm Gary Lee. Joining us in the studio this evening is the USAC racing historian, statistician, and memory man without peer, Donald Davidson. And Donald, for the first time this month, Mother Nature has cooperated. We've had cold, we've had rain, we've had winds. Today it was almost ideal weather conditions. I don't know what the temperature was. My forehead's about 115 right now.
You got burned.
It has been a month of records. First of all, 117 entries for the 500. That a record.
Yes, it is.
And plenty of records today.
Indeed. Tom Smead, of course, set the 1 and 4 lap track records. That's the one that's really significant and has now pushed the speed to well over 210 miles an hour.
And, of course, we had 28 qualifiers, much activity.
Yep.
And first we'll take a break, come back, and take a look at the practice session pre-qualifying this morning. Underway. The track was to open at 8:30 this morning, but Mother Nature said, we had to dry the track out. About 9 o'clock we got started with the first of 2 practice sessions. The first altercation came early. Derek Daly, the Irishman, in the Provimiville March number 61, looped it about 3 times coming off turn 4, making contact with the inside wall. The contact was very light. Derek Daly was uninjured. He climbed out of the car, and shortly after his checkup at the infield hospital, we talked with Derek Daly. Well, Derek, I know you gave yourself a scare and gave all of us a scare down at the start of the front straightaway this morning in practice. What happened?
All week, Gary, we've been fighting some sort of a mechanical problem with the back end of the car. It's like as if through turns 2 and 4, literally like somebody suddenly jams on the parking brake. The rear end just goes clean from under me. And we thought we had it sorted this morning, and it's been trying to bite me all week. It eventually did this morning.
It looked like you were able to save it to a certain extent in that the damage was limited.
I was quite surprised that I stayed off the wall so long, because it went a long way. I think it spun 3 or 4 times before it actually made contact. I thought I was going to be able to save it, but it wasn't quite slowed down enough when it got to the pit lane.
Will you go to the backup car or repair the 61 car?
No, most of it is bolt-on stuff, so that they're working at the moment to just replace all the stuff, and hopefully we can get out today. We've missed our chance for the pole, if you like, but we weren't really running fast enough for the pole, so hopefully we can still make an attempt at qualifying today.
Shortly after that, the track was open for practice again, and rookie Stan Fox out of Janesville, Wisconsin, a veteran of midget and championship dirt racing, lost control almost in the same spot coming off the 4th turn, making contact light again on the inside concrete wall. Light damage to the car. Once again, Stan was checked and released at the infield track hospital. The most serious altercation of the day came in the 2nd practice session. Going into turn 1, veteran Steve Krisaloff lost control of the centerline Eagle stock block Chevrolet, making hard contact with the outside concrete wall, sliding across the short chute, coming to a stop in the short chute. He was extricated from the car and taken to the infield track hospital, then on to Methodist Hospital. After the crash, we talked with car owner John Butera.
If you have just a moment to tell us what did happen this morning.
Well, it just started pushing, going into 1. He was going in really fast. The car had been running faster and faster every lap, and I had him on the speed gun going into 1, 219 miles an hour, and it just wouldn't hold. He was doing a hell of a job for us. I sure as heck can't fault him. He brought, we didn't bring enough race car here for him to drive. He was going really fast, and we'd been working on it a little at a time, and he was ready to go out there and do it. And the design of this car, it's a good car, but it's a year old, and if you try and run with the marches, he took it upon himself to do his, and I don't want to make it sound like he was over his head, because he wasn't. He was just doing his best, and he done a good job for us. And fortunately, all he's got, unfortunately for him, fortunately, all he's got's a broke ankle. He's okay. I talked to him.
It does speak very highly of his skills at holding the machine.
There's not, I don't think there's a half a dozen people here, and there's some good drivers here, and he's one of them that could have done what he did as far as running this car. We ran 204, almost 205 with it, and that's 3 miles an hour faster than that car ever went, regardless of who had it. The Gallus team is a very professional team, and they qualified that car. That's their old car. They qualified it here last year at 2:01 and a half, and Steve was just doing a great job for us. I mean, we brought a good car here, we brought good motors here, and we brought a good driver here, and I always figure everything happens for a purpose. I don't know what the purpose of this was just yet, but hopefully I'll be able to figure it out. I wish we had another one for him and he come back with just a bandage on his ankle, but I don't think we'll do anything more for a while. We got to think about it. I mean, we got a guy that's hurt and we got a pile of rubble in there, and the important thing is he's okay. I mean, they make these every day. We'll just figure out what we want to do and then, do something.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Check with the hospital, Donald. He did break both bones in his lower left leg. He underwent surgery this afternoon. He will be out of action for probably several months now, but he is in very good condition. Should stay overnight for a checkup and be released tomorrow. But once again, that was an older car, and we've seen the older cars involved in crashes breaking a lot of ankles, legs, and knees.
John Butera and Ronnie Capps are drag racers, and they were here 2 years ago with the Dennis Firestone effort. And as he mentioned, it was the car that, I don't think he mentioned the driver, it was Al Unser Jr.'s car last year, we understand. And Steve Krisloff was on the electric eye in practice at well over 204 miles an hour and had done 200-mile-an-hour laps this morning.
Yeah, stock block Chevrolet.
Yes, we thought that was going to make the program.
So both the car and the driver are out of competition, the driver for several months, the car probably forever.
It looked like it.
After that, we got the track cleared off. We had the remainder of the practice session and then set up for qualifying. We'll take a look after this. And there was that certain anticipation because we all knew the track record was in jeopardy.
Yes, I think most people went there this morning thinking that Mario Andretti was going to win the pole, and that's certainly what the newspapers predicted.
But of course, Tom Sneva has always been a top qualifier.
Yes, he always manages to qualify faster than he practiced at, and he's done that several times.
He's been sandbagging.
No, I don't think so. I just think that he manages to extend himself and just pump himself up and drive faster than he normally would, but he does it comfortably.
I was somewhat surprised when we opened the track for qualifications. The first driver to go out was indeed Dennis Firestone.
Yes.
And he took a couple of warm-up laps and pulled back in, did not take the green flag. And that turned the track over to a one-time track record holder, a champion a few years ago, in Rick Mears. And it didn't take him long to set the one-lap track record as he went out in the first lap at 2:08.502 and the second lap at 2:08.367. And we pick up the remainder of that run from the public address system.
Rick Mears back into turn one, just above the line. Through the south chute, a little high exit coming off of one. Made the adjustment. Above the line in two.
And another lap that's almost a track record. 208.367 miles an hour. Lap number two, time 4:3.193.
Through the north chute, now in turn number four is Rick Mears. Off of four onto the main straightaway. Rick Mears catches the white flag from Dwayne Sweeney. 1 lap remaining in this qualifying attempt for Rick Mears. Down over the line that time in one. Still a very high exit coming off of one. Seeing some new territory.
Now lap number three, the time 4:3.326 and the speed 207.727 miles an hour, and the average speed, if he keeps it up, will be a new track record. Let's bring him in.
Through the north chute, now just on the line in turn number four. Rick Mears comes off of four onto the main straightaway. And we have our first qualifier for the 68th Indianapolis 500, Rick Mears.
Your feelings on your 4 laps today?
Well, they weren't as fast as I wanted. The temperature came up, it slowed the track down, and we weren't as quick as we should have been, but, it's going to be slowing everybody down. But there's still a couple guys left. I think they're going to be very, very quick.
Is this going to change any strategies of those who do have later times today, Rick?
I don't know. Possibly the later times may be better. If it see anything like yesterday. It started cooling off in the afternoon and evening, and that will be better for them. So I'm sure they're thinking it's working out where they drew pretty well right now.
Okay, thank you, Rick, very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's fine. I think there was some disappointment in the Roger Penske stable that they qualified a March with Rick and not the Penske PC-12.
That's right. Of course, they used to go with McLarens, and then they started building their own cars. But Rick Mears, it's amazing how close he was getting to the wall. I hadn't realized it till I saw that footage there.
Looked like a struggle down there in
Yes.
Short Chute.
He's been in every race since 1978, though, and I think there's only once when he was not on the front row, and he's right up there again.
There was much enthusiasm for the young driver coming up next, a youngster 21 years of age, a rookie at the Speedway from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. His last name is Andretti. The first name is Michael, the young son of Mario Andretti. His first lap was 2:08.025. The second lap faster at 2:08.126, and we pick up the last two runs of that from the public address system.
One very nicely through the South Chute.
And he's even faster. The speed, 208.126 miles an hour, and he is going for a 4-lap record. Time lap 2, 43.243.
Michael Andretti in the North Chute now sets up for turn number 4. Moves through 4 just above the line, off of 4 onto the main straightaway. 3 laps complete, 1 remaining for Michael Andretti. Now to the line in turn 1. A foot away from the South Chute. Sets up for 2, stays above the line there. On to the back stretches, Michael Andretti.
The average speed is 207.8, so he is going for that track record third lap speed, 207.431.
Through 3 and through the North Chute is Michael Andretti. He's down to the line in turn 4, and here he is on the main straightaway. Michael Andretti takes the checkered flag from Dwayne Swady, our second qualifier and first rookie for 1984.
Your impressions, you've gone through rookie orientation, you've gone through practice, but this is a different day. A lot of people over the stands, your impression after qualifying for your first Indy 500.
Well, I'm relieved right now. I felt building up to this, I just felt the pressure building and building because I knew, that we were going to be fairly competitive and that I couldn't make a mistake. And then you make one mistake on one lap, it drags your whole average down. So, I just wanted to go out and be consistent and make sure every lap was pretty close, and the car really helped me do that.
Was that flat out for 4 laps?
Flat out for 4 laps, never lifted.
You also had an ear to the PA on Papa when he qualified. It had to be a little bit of a disappointment to you because he fell off on that last lap and didn't get the 4-lap record.
Yeah, that's too bad. It was a real disappointment. I don't know what happened.
We wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And shortly after Michael came in, it was another not-so-young rookie going out, Emerson Fittipaldi, a 2-time world driving champion, 1972 and 74, and he has been here before, but never in the race.
That's right. Not many people know that he took a few laps a couple of days after the Grand Prix of the United States at Watkins Glen in 1974. He was down here, and I think it was like a Wednesday and a Thursday, Tuesday and Wednesday make that, and 2 consecutive lunchtimes during Goodyear tire tests. He took a few laps in Johnny Rutherford's McLaren that had won the 500 that year, and I don't know that he totaled 24 laps on the 2 days.
Fast enough to make the field.
He got up to 184 miles an hour, and that would have put him about halfway up the line up into the 74 race.
It's not hard to spot Emerson. He has a pink car that is more pink than the car that won with, was it Schweikert back in that
Well, it is not as pink, perhaps, as the car that Johnny Thompson put on the pole in 1959, which was shocking pink.
Fittipaldi once again fast enough at 2:01.078, and then the anticipation started to build because the next out, the Budweiser red number 3 Lola with Mario Andretti, and everybody just knew that Mario was going to set the 1 and 4 lap track record. He got off to a great start, 209.678 for lap number 1, 208.734, and then the last 2 laps.
Turn number 1, still just above the line. through turn number 2, and he's on the backstretch.
And it's still over 200 miles an hour on the average. Second lap, 4:3.117. Speed 208.734. He is going for the pole and a new 4-lap record.
Through the north chute into turn number 4, Mario Andretti. Just on the line in turn number 4, off of 4 onto the main straightaway. The white flag. 1 lap remaining on this qualifying attempt for Mario Andretti. Very consistent line, just on the line as he went through turn number 1. Closer to the south through the wall that time.
And he is still going for the new 4-lap record. Time, third lap, 4:3.136. Speed 208.642.
Turn number 3 for Mario Andretti, negotiated nicely through the north chute, a foot or so away from the wall. In turn number 4 and onto the main straightaway. Here comes Mario Andretti, your new track record holder. The checkered flag, and Mario Andretti with power off as he came across.
I think everything and everyone wants to know, and maybe you can tell us, the tremendous drop there in that 4th lap to a 2:02.
Well, the engine quit. Coming out of 4, we had something happened to the electrics.
And spoiled a very, very good run.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, Mario, you've had some great moments here. And then today, your son's successful run, you did establish a 1-lap record. And at least it has been a great day for the Andrettis.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess Michael did a good job. I'm really happy for him.
Well, I know how disappointed you are. We'll leave it alone. Tom, back to you. A very disappointed Mario Andretti, but still 3 very excellent laps. Let's cheer for...
If the man only had some luck, how many times would he have won this race?
Exactly. Mario has had a great deal of success in racing, but it seems to me that the bad fortune far outweighs the good. And it's been 17 years since he won the pole here, and it's been 15 years since he won the race. And it really appeared that for this whole week, everything was going right.
He was the guy to beat.
He got to 212 miles an hour. He had the smile on his face. He was happy. He was available. He went out. We thought he was going to get the 1- and 4-lap track records, and then that little gray cloud started to come over his head again.
Ignition.
Yeah.
Once again, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and they'll have the Lola ready for a race day.
Yes, I think so.
Next up, it was a stock block Chevrolet. Steve Chassis, the Genesee Beer Wagon, number 56. He went out, took one relatively slow lap at 197.9, if you can call that slow, and then pulled in.
It was the fastest wave off in Speedway history up to that point.
And then Al Unser Sr., a 3-time champion, and he had been in and out of a couple of cars, the primary number 2 and the backup Miller High Life number 2. Took 4 laps with an average of 204.441, and we asked Al about the speeds this year at the Speedway.
Well, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. You're going to have one long race come race day.
Well, it's 500 miles. As we all know, it's not always the quickest. It's who finishes first.
You've done some car hopping this week. I think you've been in all 3 of the cars. Were you satisfied with this one today?
I've just been in 2 of them. Yes. In other words, where I needed to gain, I don't know yet. Speed-wise, I know, but I mean handling or whatever, I don't really know what I'm missing right now, but we'll be all right.
Of course, after you qualify, you have one more concern, and that is for Al Jr.
That I do, yeah. Be anxious for this day to get over. You know, both of us in. Yeah.
Donald, in the past, there have been chassis that have dominated the race. I can recall the Watson Roadster was the way to go in the early 60s. We've had the Eagles, the Dan Gurney All-American Eagle in the middle 70s. A year-old Penske was always competitive for the teams that could not afford new equipment. This year, the March is the way to go. We don't have very many other chassis to speak of, but one is the Primus, which is built as an all-American car with all-American components. Chris Neifel is the driver. He tried to qualify it the first time today without success. In fact, 3 laps in at 192, a pair at 196, and the yellow came out, and he came back in, so we'll check with Chris later in the program. Then it was John Paul, a retread rookie. He was here last year and was injured.
He did a 200-mile-an-hour lap last year when 200 miles an hour was really fast, and he had an accident, and broke a leg, and that kept him out of the race. So, as you say, a retread rookie coming around for the second time.
Possibly the only PC-10 that will have a good chance of making the race.
Yes, but we'll have to wait another day because...
he didn't do it today. He went out, did not take the green flag, so we'll check with John Paul tomorrow. Then it was Tony Bettenhausen, number 16, for Vimy Viel, and now what's this, 30-some races with a Bettenhausen?
My goodness me. Well, Tony Bettenhausen Sr. was in the race 14 times, and then Gary has been in every race since 1968 with the exception of 79 and 83, but there was a Bettenhausen filled in there because Tony started the string in 81 and has carried it on through.
And his 4-lap average in that March Cosworth, 202.813. And then it was another second-generation driver, Blackjack's son.
Oh, yes.
Jeff.
Sir Jack Brabham and son Jeff. I didn't see Sir Jack today, but I saw him earlier in the week.
But Jeff went out in the Craco car stereo March Cosworth and once again did not take the green flag and brought the car in. Then it was a rookie, in fact, the defending Can-Am champion, a French-Canadian Jacques Villeneuve.
Yes, he's the brother of the late Gilles Villeneuve. And as you say, Can-Am champion last year, and I don't know that he even saw the Speedway until he came to rookie orientation program a couple of weeks ago.
Put together a 4-lap average at 200.013, and we caught up with Jacques after his run.
Jacques, first of all, welcome to Indianapolis. It's nice to have you behind the wheel of one of these Indy cars.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your ride today. You were over 200 miles an hour. Was it pretty much what you expected?
Well, we're just barely over 200 miles an hour. We were hoping for that. We're mostly hoping for 201 miles an hour, but we achieved 200 miles an hour. That was our goal. I don't know if that's going to get us in the show, though. I think it's going to be really tight. But anyway, I think it should get us in there. I really hope so, anyway.
The factor of the track changing so much here at Indianapolis is significant and almost isolates yourself to a track such as this area. Do you, however, experience the same type of track changes on road course racing?
Well, definitely. It changed from start to beginning because, you know, a lot of cars go by and you drop oil, it gets windy, there's a lot of sand. I've not been really affected by track change here. I didn't felt much of the pavement change, but the wind does really a whole lot to my car anyway, and the wind was a little bit bothering me coming out of the turn 2 today. But anyway, we managed to put it, keep it together anyway.
Jacques, again, thank you very much. And again, welcome.
Okay, pleasure, thanks.
From a French-Canadian to a guy from Pittsburgh, Chip Ganassi, in his third show now in the old Milwaukee March Cosworth, and quite honestly, Chip was not too happy with his run. The 4-lap average was a 201.612. He'd been around 205 during the practice session, so he was not too pleased at all.
Yes, but I think that's pretty safe in the show.
And then it was another rookie, a Scotsman. Number 68, Jim Crawford, took 2 laps, one at 197.5, 196.0. The yellow flag came out, so we'll expect to see Jim tomorrow or sometime next week.
Here's an interesting person. He's a Scotsman, but he lives at the moment in Lee's Summit, Missouri, and he has an accent that isn't Scottish and it isn't English. It's Northern English, actually, and he has a beard. He's about 6'2", and he likes to wear shorts.
He came to the rookie orientation program.
Indeed he did. Riding a bicycle.
And then another rookie, it was Tom Gloy in the Simon I Finish, and he has been wanting to do this for a long, long time, and it was a very emotional display in the reception area following his qualification run.
That also is an interesting career because of the way that it's gone. He's been racing a long time, and he's driven championship cars over a period of several years, as early as 1977. He's driven in the Ontario 500. He has been entered here 2 years ago, but he was never on the Indianapolis Speedway until the rookie orientation program 2 weeks back.
And a 4-lap average of 203.758, and we talked with a very happy Tom Gloy.
Tom, it's a heck of an experience, I know, to qualify with all these people cheering for you.
It really is. I mean, it's really an incredible situation. I've never been in a place that had so many people just sort of sitting around waiting for you to go around the racetrack. So, yeah, it's a new experience for me, without a doubt.
Have you ever qualified by 4 by putting your foot in it and going flat out for 4 laps?
No, and I'd have to say I didn't flat stick it here. We don't quite have the handling down, but we had it down actually a little bit better on Wednesday, and I flat-footed it here on Wednesday. The way this track changes, a lot goes on every day, and we haven't really learned how to adapt the car to how it changes. I think that's a big experience level, and you know, I just hope I'm back here for several years and gain the experience.
I tell you what, if you were not lifting, the ride was so consistent.
Oh, I was lifting on this one, yeah.
Well, a very consistent ride. We wish you well come race day.
Thank you very much. We got that familiar tomorrow.
#1 Texaco star, defending champion at the Speedway, and a guy that held the track record for a number of years, and never count Tom Sneva out. He always starts up in front.
Yes, he does, and he, as we said earlier, he always manages to get more speed in qualifying than he did in practice.
Is that adrenaline?
I think it must be, but evidently he takes it to the limit and knows where the limit is, because he never goes over it. He has brushed the wall on a qualifying lap and still done 200 miles an hour, but not today.
But always starts up in front. In fact, only once did he start at the back of the pack?
Well, he did start in 1981. He qualified a car. I think that's the only time that he has qualified below 8th in speed ranking, and he had an accident with that car. That was the Jerry O'Connell car with ground effects in 1981. They withdrew it, and he was able to substitute a McLaren in 33rd place, and he finished second. But he's been on the pole in 77.
That was the old Hound car, right?
Yes. On the pole in 77 and 78, the old Hound that Tony Bettenhausen drove to 7th the next year. This makes now 3 poles for Sneva, but it also makes 4 fastest qualifications, which would tie the record. Now, Rex May sat on the pole 4 times, but was the fastest qualifier each time. A.J. Foyt also sat on the pole 4 times and was the fastest qualifier each time. Sneva has won the pole 3 times, but his fast qualifying time not on the pole, starting from 25th in 1981, gives him the 4. And I did like that comment that I made, and it's 3 years ago, but I want to do it again, is a reporter asked him if he didn't think that the fastest qualifier should start on the pole regardless of the day. And he said no, because the Speedway has to have some incentive to get people to qualify on the first day. And besides, and this is the one I like, it's good for the people, good for the fans to have some of the fast people start in the back.
And he always thinks of the fans.
He mentions them in almost all of his acceptances.
Well, let's enjoy the run. For a 4-lap and a 1-lap track record, Tom Sneva and the Texaco star #1. Here it is.
Now, here comes Tom Sneva, and he's on it.
Our defending champion starts his first lap of the 1984 qualifying attempt. Left side rubber a foot or so above the white line in turn 1. Maybe 10 inches away from the south chute wall, just on the line in turn #2. Tom Sneva comes off of 2 and heads up the backstretch about 12-15 feet away from the outside wall. Halfway around the racetrack, now sets up for turn #3. Turn #3 just down to the white line with the left side wheels. Tom Sneva close to the north chute wall. Now in turn #4. The Texaco star is off of corner #4 onto the main straightaway, completing 1 lap of this qualifying attempt. Tom Sneva now moves into turn #1 once again, just down to the white line with the left side wheels. Fairly close to the outside wall in the south chute. He's down on the line in turn #2 that time.
Oh, and he's just off the 1-lap record of Mario Andretti. It's 4:3.039 in the speed for Sneva. 209.113. He's going for the pole.
He's already in turn #4. Off of 4 now. Here comes Tom Sneva. 2 laps complete for Tom on this qualification attempt. Tom Sneva moving swiftly around the racetrack. It's down on the line in turn #1 that time. Maybe 6 inches away from the outside wall in the chute. Just down the line in 2, heads down the backstretch.
And it's a new track record. Here's the time, 4:2.878, and the speed, 209.898 miles an hour, a new track record.
And he's on the main straightaway, finishing lap #3, the white flag for Tom Sneva. Lap #4, Sneva in turn #1, just on the line. Very close to the outside wall, through the chute again, just above the line.
And it's a new track record. Over 210 miles an hour. Here it is, 42.771. And the speed average, 210.423. 210.423. Here he is.
And there you...
Do you expect a 200-mile-an-hour field?
I don't know. I did at one time, but it's going to be dictated by the weather. When I saw, how fast Mears and who's that other guy? Andretti, I think. I saw how fast they were running today. Maybe it won't take quite that much to get in.
Tom, after you saw Mears and Andretti run, did you at that time realize we can go faster than that?
Well, I knew we had a shot at it because, especially after practice this morning, I saw what kind of speeds they were going to run. You have a decent idea if you got a shot for it anyway.
Why are these speeds too fast?
Well, the guys who can see good won't see good at 210, so that might equalize them with me, and that could be a disadvantage for myself. We just don't need to go that fast. You got to be a little crazy to drive a race car, but if I'm going to get my choice between 180 and 210, I'm going to opt for 180.
I want to correct a statement I made. I got thinking during his run, Rex Mays was not the fastest qualifier on the 4 occasions on which he sat on the pole, because when he sat on the pole in 1948, Duke Nalon in a Novice, starting further back, was actually the fastest qualifier.
So that'll save all the telephone calls.
That's right.
Well, then after the record rung, Jose Legarza from Mexico City went out in the Machinist Union number 55 March and turned in a 4-lap average of 200.615. Then it was Gordon Johncock, a 2-time winner, and he surprised a lot of people late in practice on Friday by going about 2:11. Yes, but I think he was disappointed with a run of 2:07.545, and here's Gordon.
Well, we're going to take it naturally. We'd like to run a little faster. The car really run well. In fact, I was hard on the throttle more running at 2:07 than I was when I ran 2:11. I don't know. The humidity has got a little bit hotter and everything, and the track has changed, but we're happy.
Okay, Gordon, thank you very much.
Next out was Scott Brayton in a very unique race car. That is a March with a Buick V6. And he turned 1 lap at 199.685 and then spun at the start of lap 2, making contact with the wall. That's his second crash this week. He hopped out of the car unscathed, was checked at the infield track hospital, and he was okay. And then it was Teo Fabi, who last year won the hearts of many Americans. The rookie last year from Milan, Italy, with his 1 and 4-lap track record, was not to be, not quite as fast this year, 203.6, but he'll be competitive on race day, and here's Teo Fabi.
Do you feel you'll be able to get it together for the race, or do you feel that, well, maybe this car just doesn't have it?
Well, we hope to get it together for the race, but we're not sure at the moment.
Are you pleased with where you are in the field in view of the problem?
Let me put so many miles on this week. I'm a little tentative.
You thought maybe you'd be a little bit higher. The field been slower than you thought it would be?
Well, you got better.
Well, just Neva went reasonably fast, and all the other, I think they went very slow today.
It's a long way from 208.
Well, we did even worse because of the problem we had.
Still got 5 miles to go. Yeah, you got to work up through a mile. Appreciative.
Now we have to work on the car and try to get it back.
Teo Fabi, a very smart race driver in the Skoal Bandit. The car was not balanced to his liking, so he would not take the chance to go faster. Settle in for that speed, and he'll be competitive on race day. The 5th rookie to make the race was Al Holbert, the defending IMSA champion, now going to Indianapolis-style cars in the number 21 CRC Chemicals March Cosworth, 4-lap average 201.840. And then it was Baby Al, the little redhead, Al Unser Jr. in car number 7, the Coors Light Silver Bullet, 4-lap average 203.404. We talked to Dad. Now here's the son.
Al, very, very quickly, I know you're tired, not only after the drive, but after all the interviews, too. Did you notice a significant change in the track from practice this morning until the time you qualified?
No, not at all. The track was virtually the same, and the wind had died down a little bit, so everything was just beautiful while I was running.
This has to be a condition that is somewhat disappointing to you. You should feel, I would imagine, that you could have stuck it up there just a little bit farther.
Well, I wished I could have been able to. I'm a little bit, happy. I ran quicker than I did last year, so that goes to show the improvement that March made in the cars over the winter, and
as young as you, but with the experience that you have now, it must be very important to you to be able to say that you have the car in the field. Now you can work on your race day setups.
Right. You know, we got it in the field, and we're going to work on the setups, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
A very pleasant surprise this season has been Herm Johnson, the 3M March Cosworth, 4-lap average, 204.618, and we had a chance to talk with a very happy Herm Johnson.
Congratulations to you, Herm. I know a couple of miles an hour over what you've been running during the week, but you have to be happy with it.
Yeah, I guess I haven't even seen where it puts us yet, but the happiest part for me is being in the race, because it's been a struggle for me this season, you know, getting to the track usually.
One of the things I don't think the fans really realize is that there's a great deal of emotional frustration that goes through a driver's mind, especially when you work real hard and it doesn't really seem to come together right.
Well, not trying to pat myself on the back, but since last June I was the driver, crew chief, team manager, head mechanic, and the whole deal. And finally the crew arrived in March, and I got to go on vacation.
Well, we're very proud of you, and thanks again for spending time with us, and congratulations.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Then it was Lone Star Jr., Johnny Rutherford, the V6 Chevy, the A.J. Foyt car 84, that's the Calumet Farm March. He turned 2 laps, 198.5, a 198.9. The yellow came out, did not complete the run. Then Dick Simon in his backup break-free March, number 22T, took 2 laps, 202.2, 203.1, and then blew the engine. Then it was A.J. Foyt, went out, turned a lap at 209.137. Could it be that A.J. had been sandbagging all month? Well, we never found out because he burned the piston on his second lap. We talked later with his car owner, Jim Gilmore.
Do you have any idea what happened, Jim?
All I can say is we knew AJ had to stop, and I think the supercharger went up. I think the turbo went out, guys. That's what I'm really saying. I think the turbo went out. That's all I know. We saw a puff of smoke when he went by after he hit a 209, and we just saw a puff, and that's all we can think of. And the engine sounded a little bit like we'd lost the turbo. Now
that's all you've lost. Now you have 2.5 hours.
We have two and a half hours. We can change that. We can also go to car number 4, our backup car. So when we started out, they asked me which car Johnny was going to race and which car George was going to race. I said, let's wait and see, because our number 4 car is identical to our 14 car. Thanks, Jim. Okay.
Saying it was a burned piston, and Foyt did come out later. Then it was Bobby Rahal at 202.230. He had been faster, but he's in the show, and he talked with Chuck Marlowe.
Really, the car was handling very well, but it was just very, very slow. You know, they give you different pop-off valves all day long, and boy, this one was a dog. We weren't getting more than 45 inches of boost, which is 2 less than we ought to get, and it was just slow down the straight line. So I was pleased the way the car handled, but we were just too slow on the straights.
So it wasn't sluggish or anything?
Oh, it was sluggish. We were about 400 RPMs down on where we were this morning when the car was handling bad. So, you know, it hurt us, but we're in the race, and 2 weeks from now they won't remember this.
That's been disappointing, though.
Well, it is, but it's the race that counts, and it's a long race. A lot happens. You know, I think we've got a good week now to work on the car for the race, and we'll get it.
More qualifications coming up. Stay with us. The rookie from Columbia came on with 3 laps, and then he slowed down when a side pod, piece of fiberglass, came off, and we'll see him later in the show. And then it was Howdy Holmes in car 41, 207.977. That is the Jiffy Mix March, and we have 2 cars, the same stable.
That's right.
Starting 1, 2.
That's right. It is a brand new team, but it's not a new thing to happen. The Penske's did that in 1982 with Rick Mears and Kevin Cogan. The Wedge Turbines did it in 68, and the Novi's with Duke Nalon and Rex Mays did it in 49. So it's happened.
And he's not reading from cue cards. It's all up here. And then it was Patrick Bedard giving all the racing journalists a boost in the Escort Radar Detector March Cosworth. Number 35 at 201.915. And then we saw Dennis Firestone again. He was the first to go out. Then after the first day of qualifiers, if you will, he had a chance to come back out again in the Hoosier Transportation number 50. And he turned in 1 lap at 197.720, then slowed down on the second lap and returned to the pit area, did not take the run. And then Chris Neifel, we saw him earlier. He came back out in the Primus, number 73, and this time he made it in the show with a 4-lap average of 199.831. Will that hold?
We don't know, but it's a new car and it has a special cockpit to hold a 6'6" driver.
The tallest ever?
Yeah, ties with Joel Thorne.
Right, all right.
You read, did you?
Yeah, I've done my homework. Then car 56, the stock black Chevrolet again, 355 cubic inches of Steve Chassis, the Genesee beer wagon. 3 laps, 197.0, 197.9, 198.2. And then he had trouble as he got into the wall in turn 4, as he lost control in the short chute, tried to correct it, tried to save it, got the outside wall. And, of course, with the ground effects, when you try to save it, it can be disastrous. But that time he was able to walk away, went to the infield track hospital, had a checkup, was released. And I think we had a chance to talk with him following his release from the track hospital.
Steve, first, we're so glad to see that you're all right. Can you take just a moment to explain what happened?
Well, you know, we went out the first time to try to qualify, and the car had a real bad push in it. And we thought the conditions were, you know, better, cooler, a little shade in the corners, so we worked on taking the push out of the car, and it was loose, you know, neutral, loose the first lap, and it got worse each lap. And I suppose I should have pulled it in, but they didn't throw a yellow flag, and I just finally lost it up in the third turn.
Did you feel you were just hanging on the edge all the way with it?
Yeah. Bad mistake, I guess.
Well, my dear friend, I don't want to push you any more than I know you feel terribly bad about it, but I'm glad to see you all right. Just too far.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing, just feelings. Okay, thanks, John.
For you Steve Chassis fans, he does have a backup March with the Chevrolet engine number 65. There was Pancho Carter, the Rookie of the Year, 10 years ago in 1974, 4-lap average of 201.820. He drives a championship car like he does a sprint car at Terre Haute, using the billiard shots, the bank shots off the wall. He brushed the wall up in the north short chute with a flame from the magnesium, and here he's using all the track he possibly can use. The white sidewall now as the flash from the magnesium, and he, in fact, that was his quickest lap at 202.452 and the 4-lap average of 201.820. And then Dick Simon, 50 years old, 50 and balding, and I love the guy because he's so enthusiastic, whatever he does. He blew the engine in the backup car, went out in the primary number 22, went faster than he'd been in that car all week long at 201.834, the break-free march. And then it was, once again, Jeff Brabham, the Craco car stereo march number 18, a 4-lap average of 204.931. And Jeff was just very happy to get the car in the show. Here's Jeff.
I'm very pleased. I was a bit nervous going in because, I run this morning, I had to come in early because the car was handling so badly, and I felt I had a flat tire or something was wrong with it. And we looking around the car, we found that the front roll bar had gone from full stiff to full soft. And it's always nice to find something, but when you go out, there's always that little bit of doubt in your mind. And I think, as I ran, I realized the car was pretty consistent. It was a little bit loose for me, but I kind of gained confidence, and I think I'm going to go well in the race because I always go better in the race anyway. And I'm just really, really pleased that the Craco car really performed well.
Next up, the Master Mechanic March, number 9, Roberto Guerrero back out. This time he went 4 laps without the side pod cover flying off with a 4-lap average of 205.717. Then it was Spike Gelhausen. Haven't seen Spike around since 1980. He's a veteran from Jasper, Indiana. 4-lap average at 200.4 miles per hour. And then it was Supertex, A.J. Foyt in the 4-car, which will be 14 before race day, a 4-lap average of 203.860, and A.J. wasn't in a bad mood, really.
Well, it was just to get in the race was the biggest thing. It's very disappointing. We didn't have time to change the springs around like I had on the other car or nothing. We took the wing and all off the other car and put on the car. And I was just very loose. I was just an accident waiting to happen. I like to spun the first lap. Then I hesitated, and I said, well, I got to run faster than that. And I got up a little bit more, and hell, I was just kind of playing cat and mouse. I was just in trouble all 4 laps.
What are your thoughts on the speed so far today?
The speed?
Size, the tremendous size.
Well, it's actually the cars and the tires, developing, and that's about the whole thing. But, just one of them days we was just going to try to get in, the first day instead of that second day, and we weren't planning on running this car today. We was planning on maybe if everything was good, maybe somebody else in it this evening because I've had the car a little over 200, you know, and that's all. And it's just kind of a secondary backup. And all of a sudden we had to make a quick decision. So I said, hell, let's go see what we can do. And
you seem pretty happy about the total outcome, though.
I don't even know what the average was. They didn't tell me up there, so I don't even know.
Were you disappointed after the 209?
Oh, yeah, because I had new tires and I knew I could run faster, you know, as it went on, and we made some changes because I was a little bit pushy at the beginning of the practice this morning. We made some changes, and I didn't want to run the motor no more than we had to. It was a qualifying engine that Howard Gilbert built for me. We knew that, and it was just fabulous, and I was just getting ready to get with the program, and I'm quite sure we could have run a little faster.
Are we going too fast now? Are we?
You know, records are made to be broken. That's the reason we got these racetracks. The magic number used to be 150 miles an hour. Now
Where do we go from here, sir?
I can't answer that. I wish I knew I'd be ahead of these guys. Thank you.
That's the fastest I've ever seen him.
A.J. ready for number 27.
That's 27 in a row. You know, when you think about it, he is approaching a starting position in almost half of the 500s ever held here.
Yeah, his first race was the year I was born, 1958.
1958 with the Dean Van
You
Ryn
believe that,
special.
don't you?
Yeah.
Danny Angaius was next up in car 25, four-lap average of 203.978. More coming up. Stay with us. Involving Michael Chandler, the blonde Californian.
Yes.
The last report from Methodist Hospital is he is in serious but stable condition. He is still unconscious in the intensive care unit. So we'll update the fans tomorrow evening. Speed average for 28 cars, 203.536. Incredible. 6 rookies thus far, perhaps the best crop of rookies ever at the Speedway. We have 1 Lola. We have 1 Primus, probably 2 Lolas before the race begins. We have 1 Shearson that probably won't last that long.
That'll last long.
And 25 Marches.
Yeah, and more to come.
Has one car ever had that many makes in the race?
No.
We are almost out of time. It should be interesting day to see a lot of practice tomorrow.
Yes, I think it'll be a much quieter. We'll have more time to talk tomorrow.
9 o'clock tomorrow night to wrap up everything that happens. We thank you for joining us, Donald.